Thanks for tuning into the BoshNRoll channel. Liking the video and subscribing to the channel are free and easy for you, and they help me out a lot. If you want to go further with your support, Patreon and YouTube membership offer access to the BoshNRoll Discord community, early access to lists, written content, things like that. You can have me play your deck on the channel, and the highest tiers come with individual coaching sessions. If you use YouTube membership, you also get sweet badges and emotes integrated here into YouTube. You can support the channel while you shop at tcgplayer.com by using my affiliate link in the video description, and you can play any deck anytime by using a cardhoarder.com loan account on Magic Online. If you want to wear your support, check out the merch store. And of course, thanks for being here. Now let's go play some Magic. Welcome to another BoshNRoll Legacy video. Today, at the request of Patreon subscriber Dragon Day Dragon, I am playing his Mardu Tokens Brew. This deck was sent to me by Dragon Day Dragon with basically the plan of make lots of tokens, question mark, question mark, question mark, profit. And I took some liberties to clean it up a little bit. And now it's kind of in the Aristocrats space rather than just token aggro. If you don't remember the Aristocrats, that was a standard deck. It had Cartel Aristocrat and Falconwrath Aristocrat in it, which is where it got its name. Those are sacrifice outlets, and then it used Blood Artist to kill your opponent when you sacrifice your creatures for fun and profit. And I kind of tapped into that on this one a little bit. The core of the deck, Young Pyromancer and Sedgemoor Witch. Both of these trigger when you cast instants or sorceries. Sedgemoor Witch also when you copy instants or sorceries, which is why there's 2 Chain of Smog in the deck. If you can wear down their defenses a little bit and cast infinite copies of Chain of Smog, you get infinite 1/1 pests. Not quite as good as Witherbloom Apprentice, which kills your opponent outright, but it is a lot of power in play and your opponent has to deal with it immediately or they lose on the next turn. Or if you have one of your pieces in play, Goblin Bombardment can kill them right away. The original build of this deck had 4 Monastery Mentor in it as well, but it was a little too chunky on 3 drops, and Sedgemoor Witch and Monastery Mentor are kind of 4 drops because you need to do another thing after you cast those spells, or else they're just below rate creatures. So I sleeked it, made it sleeker, sleeked it down, however you want to say that. I cut some mana off of the average CMC by turning Monastery Mentor into Lingering Souls. And while this is still a 2 and a white spell on the surface, the flashback of 1 and a black makes it cheaper when we're talking about a deck that has 4 Faithless Looting and 4 Dragon's Rage Channeler in it already. If you can discard discard Lingering Souls or just mill past it with Dragon's Rage Channeler, that's straight up card advantage, makes it cheaper. By cutting Mentor and turning it into Lingering Souls, I was able to add black sources to the deck and make it more Rakdos with a white splash than pure Mardu, which the fewer color requirements a deck has, the better in general. Just your spells are more castable. And Lingering Souls makes tokens while triggering your other token friends and your Dragon's Rage Channeler. So I like that better than Monastery Mentor in this shell. Some of the cool things to do with this deck: Cabal Therapy. Anyone who was playing during the old Grixis Delver with Gataxian Probe era knows what this is already, but you can cast Cabal Therapy with a Young Pyromancer into play. Therapy triggers the Young Pyromancer, giving you a 1/1, and then you can sack that 1/1 immediately to flashback Cabal Therapy, which makes another 1/1. So Cabal Therapy becomes kind of free on the flashback, which is great, because if you can flash it back right away, then you know you're going to hit a card because you just looked at their hand with the first copy. The reason to be in white is the removal. We have Swords to Plowshares and Prismatic Ending. Swords to Plowshares is really important for tangling with Murktide Regents in this economy. We also get the powerful Deafening Silence out of the sideboard. Dragon Day Dragon had these 2 Null Rods split as Null Rod and Stony Silence, but Stony Silence, in my experience in Eternal formats, being an enchantment rather than an artifact barely matters, and costing white instead of just 2 in a 3-color deck could matter a lot. I lost a game in the Vintage Super League on camera because I had 2 mana on turn 1, but one of it wasn't white when I had chosen to put Stony Silence in my deck instead of Null Rod, and felt really bad about that forever. So I'm all in on Null Rod in Eternal formats. But the white is just for removal and Deafening Silence, and the flavor text on Lingering Souls, if you will. Getting the number of spells right was really tricky. Like, 2 Village Rites, Do you want 4 of this card? Is Deadly Dispute better? And I think the answer is no to that, because there's not really artifacts for sacking. I think Village Rites is better than Deadly Dispute. How many unearths do we want? Like, you could roll past Sedgemoor Witch with Dragon's Rage Channeler and then unearth it to get into play cheaper. I'm actually off this. I'm going to add a Village Rites and cut an unearth right now in real time. Because I want this deck to be able to shred, and I want to be able to turn these tokens into real cards one way or the other. The Aristocrats part of the deck is the Goblin Bombardment, sack a creature, deal 1 to anything, where you should have a lot of creatures laying around if we're doing our thing here. And this makes us resilient to removal, because any removal spell an opponent casts just becomes a point of damage somewhere. This also becomes board control. If we have 2 or 3 tokens laying around, you can kill a Delver, kill a Dragon's Rage Channeler, just chew up Death and Taxes, chew up Elves, that sort of thing. And my favorite piece of technology, I play this card in EDH, in my Corvold EDH deck, and it's one of my favorite cards. This is the Meat Hook Massacre. Black X, legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, each creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 1 life. For 4 mana, this will kill most things in Legacy. Most of the other things will die at 5 mana. But even if you just play it for black, kill nothing, it just sits in play as this sort of Blood Artist effect, that anytime a token creature you control dies, your opponent loses 1 life. Anytime you make a trade in combat, they lose a life and you gain a life. If you have Goblin Bombardment, you're flinging creatures around for 2 damage apiece. It's an engine. I just hope it works. And like I mentioned already, Chain of Smog is in here. If we get a window to smog off, you could just make a bazillion pests, and those are pretty good with Goblin Bombardment or Meat Hook Massacre. This deck is kind of distressingly fair for a Legacy deck. Like, if we're ever on the draw versus Reanimator, probably just in trouble. I do like the number of Pyroblasts and discard spells for any kind of slower combo deck. Deafening Silence, Null Rod will kick in there. Uro is a problem, but we have Swords to Plowshares and Karakas to help fight that. And we do have a gas pedal in the form of Chain of Smog, so I guess this is kind of... There are unfair angles to this deck, but it is a very fair deck. Just discard spells and removal spells and gain some value off of creatures with triggers when you cast spells. That's the whole plan. I've done my best to make it into a viable Legacy deck with the... I upped the land count, added Karakas, put card draw in here, put more disruption in here, and I've done what I can. Let's see if this strategy can hold up. Let's jump in. I am on the play in round 1. I do have turn 1 Dragon's Rage Channeler, but going nowhere quick after that. A black mana kind of pops this hand. Like, I do like the Thoughtseize quite a bit. If they play anything, I can Prismatic Ending it and start getting DRC triggers. This is the worst hand that I would keep, or the best hand I would mulligan, so I'm just going to keep it on the play here and let my opponent wonder what I'm doing with this Mountain Dragon's Rage Channeler. The mana in this deck is pretty reliable. Like, I'm light on basics. I have a ton of dual lands and fetch lands. I don't think hands like this are going to come up often. All right, well, we have a target for Prismatic Ending. Oh, Candlestick. Cloudpost Candlestick. All right. There's that. I could Thoughtseize this turn and then ending next turn, or I could end the Mox Diamond right now. Or does Diamond or Candelabra actually make more mana? If they have a second Cloudpost, Candelabra is good for 4, and Mox Diamond's always good for 1. Yeah, I'm gonna hit the Candlestick this turn, and then I can Thoughtseize and Prismatic Ending again next turn. I'm gonna put that in the graveyard. I found my 3rd land. I'm good on that right now. There are Ruinations in the sideboard. There's no Wastelands in the main deck. 4 mana. See if the Thoughtseize was a mistake. Ugh. Thought Tribal. Thought versus Thought. Thought Not Seer can mess with me somewhere here. Probably taking Thoughtseize would be my guess. Though ending the Mox Diamond isn't the worst thing. I don't know. A big beefy creature like this one, when my hand's not ready to deal with it, is kind of a problem. But if my Channeler can get flying... Okay, they did take Thoughtseize. Ooh, the hooks. I'm gonna end this Mox Diamond. Lingering Souls in the graveyard, hell yeah. That's the thing we built the deck around. Flashback Lingering Souls. And Young Peasy. I think I want to keep that. Because I can go Young Pyro, Village Rites next turn. And that does also buy me a lot of time against the Thought-Knot Seer. Oh, I don't like that they're using the Kamigawa Colorless Spirit token while those are supposed to be white spirits. There's plenty of white spirits printed in Magic. You don't need to do that. Yuck. Oh well, we'll deal with it. Young Peasy's here. I can Meat Hook or Village Rites a spirit token. Not ready to do that yet. That's probably an end step thing. I could do it now. Draw cards, try to hit a land drop. Yeah, I'm gonna Rites now, post-combat. Goblin Bombardment. Oh, do I want that? That is an exciting one. Okay, let's just put all the engines here. Draw 2. And pass. Opponent gave us the cool deck in the chat. You're right, it is. I hope it holds up against Cloud Post, but yeah. Karn, the Great Creator. Probably glad I just put Goblin Bombardment in my hand. We got Walking Ballista. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll be pretty happy to bombard it. Okay, and Dragon's Rage Channeler is when you cast a non-creature spell. So these enchantments will trigger it. I'm going to fetch for a black source here. Grab this Badlands. And then I can Goblin Bombardment. Really interested in getting Delirium here. Alright, put Lingering Souls in the graveyard. Cast the Meat Hook Massacre for 0. And Dragon's Rage Channeler can go into the graveyard. Creatures get -X/-X. And I do have Delirium attack Karn and attack my opponent with the flying creatures. I am impressed by the card selection of this deck between the Village Rites, the Dragon's Rage Channeler. And my opponent has missed several land drops with their ramp deck, so that helps. But we have put a lot together here. And this Ballista is going to be pretty medium minus. Goblin Bombardment. I'm going to go upstairs with this. I can ping Ballista whenever, if they don't want to make the first move on that one. Like, I could have pointed one at Ballista and locked them into using it this turn, but I can literally do that anytime. I'll take the 4 here. I'm going to Lingering Souls next turn. Oh, Mox Opal. That is currently on. Swords to Plowshares. Hell yeah. All right. I'm going to Swords to Plowshares, Thought-Knot Seer. Get an extra card out of that one. Cabal Therapy into the graveyard. Draw a card off Thought-Knot. The backup Mate Hook. This is a legendary enchantment, unfortunately. Drawing the second one of those sucks. It's all good, though. I'm going to attack with all of my creatures. Okay, they can block ping, but I end up losing one creature either way. If I tried to shoot it pre-combat, I lose 2 creatures. And because of Massacre, it just, like, doesn't actually save them any damage. So they take a bunch there. And then Lingering Souls. Triggers DRC again. I don't need a swamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can 8 them at any time. I can Cabal Therapy, but I can't actually get value off it right now, so I'll just pass. Ancient Tomb. That'll be dangerous. Hopefully more dangerous for them than it is for me. Golos. Yeah, if that can get another Glimmer Post, they can start to pull out a range. Do what they want to do with it. The Tabby. That's a good one. So in the end step, I'm going to shoot them with the Elemental token to deal 2 damage. I'm going to leave all my flyers behind. And I'm going to pay for all of these. 1, 2. And I actually can cast this Prismatic Ending, so I think I'm going to leave white up. Also bounce Golos. Young Peasy. And I'll attack with my creatures. And they're dead on board, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe so. Do I need to do anything? I think I can just wait. I'm going to end their Mox Opal. And I have them dead on board. I don't expect them to be able to... Nice. Mill over another Lingering Souls. I don't expect them to be able to gain life in some sort of uncounterable fashion. if I lose because I pass the turn. Like, it is my instinct to make them react to this board that's already killing them before I throw away my resources, but I can deal 6 to them on board. It's all there. Tapping that Ancient Tomb was tough. They said in the chat, how do I beat a meat massacre? It's impossible. It can't be done. I regret to inform you. Karn. Don't believe I need to respond to this. And they scooped it up. Legacy staple Meat Hook Massacre coming in strong. Very clearly a Ruination matchup. Also a Null Rod matchup. We saw Mox Diamond and Mox Opal and Karn. This looks like good stuff to me. I feel like I'm not going to Chain of Smog this opponent. Though sending a Chain of Smog upstairs against this opponent could be pretty exciting. But I don't know if that's where I want to be. I probably just want to be disrupting them and shredding through my deck trying to find the Ruination. I'm not convinced Cabal Therapy is good. I don't have any educated guess what might be in this deck at any given time. And Golos and Karn are powerful cards. Swords of Plowshares is good against the Thought-Knot Seer, but so is all of my tokens. Prismatic Ending. That did find targets, but maybe leaving a Chain of Smog in for cheese factor is better than a Prismatic Ending. I'm just really worried about Chalice of the Void, which they're Candelabra deck, so they probably don't have. I'm gonna do it like this. Okay, we've got a Young P to start it off. Faithless Looting to dig. Oh, Leyline of the Void. Alright. Wasn't ready for that one, but I guess I should be. Don't believe I have any means to exile that card. Or remove that card. Time to check the deck. Yeah, no wear tear to be found here. I can't get 4 colors on Prismatic Ending. Just gonna have to win a game with that card in play, I guess. 3 mana Trinisphere. My goodness. This opponent's not goofing around. 1 more land. We can play Magic. Can they follow up this start with something else? Candelabra's Dees. Okay, yeah, Saga. Saga will do it. Alright, deck. Time for that land. Dip it. Tilt. And can't even cast a spell. I'm going to end step, discard. Probably Faithless Looting. Yeah, missing that land drop makes for sure no chance here. Okay, we've identified a missing piece of the deck, which is how we beat a Rest in Peace effect. Dude, we could just play to the board. But I would feel better if there was some sort of castable card that could remove that. Just like a Wear Tear would go a long way. Okay. If I am playing to a world where I'm trying to cast Ruination, I want to get my red and my black set up here. I could I guess Sedgemoor Witch is just better than Young Pyromancer because they both cost the same amount of mana and do the same thing. All right, yeah, I'll play Sedgemoor this turn. Then I'm going to try to ending the Trinisphere next turn. Or, oh wow, Candelabra can untap Saga. That's so sick. Wow, I've never seen this happen before. Big fan. They can do it again. Getting 4 homies out of the same Saga. That's pretty serious. At least Ancient Tomb is the facilitator, but it's still nasty. And I don't have a Meltdown in the deck either. We went for the Null Rod option. This deck should definitely have a Meltdown. I think there was a version of the deck where we had a Meltdown and I forgot and just played 2 Null Rods instead. Whoops. Yeah, cut at least one of those Null Rods for a Meltdown. They can clap me for 14 right now. And because of Trinisphere, it'd be really hard to make more creatures. I'm taking this damage. I guess I could rip the chain and just make infinite creatures. That's what I'm playing to right now. I'm on Chain of Smog. Bummer. Yeah, it's not a land, not a Chain of Smog. All right. That was cool. Leyline of the Void, identified problem. Also, deck is misbuilt by a Wear Tear and a Meltdown. You're looking at the first run with a brew here, and this is part of the brew process. Just identifying what you've messed up with. Okay, Chain of Smog up. Prismatic Ending up. Meat Hook Massacres down. Because those are when a creature dies. And creatures don't die with Leyline around. I could shave a Faithless Looting, get Swords to Plowshares in here. Trying to think of what a winning game state looks like. I'm going to shave a Faithless Looting, get a plow in. A winning game state probably looks like I have more ragtag tokens than they have large constructs, and I've resolved Ruination. So I guess I need Faithless Looting to help find the Ruination. Looting and DRC, even though they're affected by Leyline, they still help find the important card, which is Ruination. They're still card selection. Magic Ending seems really important. Lingering Souls, when I can't cast from the graveyard, is a lot worse. Okay. This is where I'm going to go with this. And they don't appear to be a deck that can cast Leyline. Well, they have various Moxen, so they can definitely cast Leyline. I just hope it's hard. I'm going to keep this. They do have Leyline off their 7-card hand again. Naturally. But I have all of the basic lands in my deck available to me right now. If I can get to a Ruination, we're in business. Mox Diamond, Null Rod's already paying me. Ancient Tomb. Expedition Map. Oh, bummer. But they do have the mana to activate Map. But turning off this Mox kind of rules. Alright, Karak is into the graveyard. Can't afford to draw any more lands right now. Gonna map in response, of course. Found a Cloud Post. And DRC, let's go. It's 1/1 creature versus Ancient Tomb, my favorite dual deck. Looting and Cabal Therapy. I'm gonna Therapy first, because then that'll give me more information what I'm looking for of looting. Therapy, I'm gonna name Karn. Young P I kinda like. Put on top. Then Karn, the Great Creator. I did hit a Karn. There's a candle over there, and Thought-Knot Seer. Thought-Knot Seer was my other card that I was considering naming, but I think I'd rather clear a Karn. Okay, now it's extra awkward because Thought-Knot is going to take my looting, and if I loot, I lose the Young Peasy. Do I want to just draw Young Pyromancer and hope to draw another card next turn? Bummer. Maybe I'm supposed to name Thought-Knot Seer just because I can attack Karn, but my 1/1s aren't that good at attacking Karn. Okay, I guess I'm playing this land and attacking. They're going to Thought-Knot next turn. I'm going to lose my looting. Then I draw Young Pyromancer and try to do stuff. Yeah, Leyline's pretty good against this deck. Maybe take a turn off, cast Golos. Bummer. They figured out the line of casting Thought-Knot Seer. And there's the candle from their hand. Can't be activated currently. I'm sure they have some way to deal with that. And I'll get the Young Peasy in and pass the turn. And we both need a top deck here. I'm sure their deck has more powerful cards. All right, they found Golos. They did have Golos last turn when I said maybe they'll just cast Golos. Much to my chagrin. And Caracas, okay. This means they can attack with Thought-Knot Seer. I'm going to fetch my last basic here. There's one more swamp, and then I'm just going to draw a Ruination. Not a Ruination. Would normally be a lot better, but only get the front half of this one. Yeah, DRC never being able to fly is a problem. And it's tough to just outmuscle Golos Loop. Golos can't be activated, but I don't know that their deck has any intention of doing that anyway. Ooh, a big attack. Do I think they have a removal spell? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm putting the whole squad in front of Thought-Knot Seer. That lets me draw a card. And none of those were great anyway. Oh god. Witch off the top, one-time dealer. I drew the 2 of, now I need the 4 of. They also have 2 cards in hand. Like, I could just get them empty with a fair Chain of Smog. But I'd rather draw Witch. This is the gas pedal I was talking about. Though, if they just bounce Golos and redeploy it getting Tabernacle next turn, Witch doesn't even kill them. Alright, this sucks. Never mind, I take it all back. I need the Ruination. Alright, looting lets me keep 1 card in my hand. I think I just have to pass the turn and try to loot next turn. Yeah, if I put them to empty with Chain of Smog, they send it back and clip the looting for free anyway. Alright, I gotta risk it here. Take my 3 from Golos. Thought-Knot Seer. Alright, this is gonna take Chain of Smog. Yeah, Leyline too good. The graveyard synergies of this deck completely shut off. Did take Chain of Smog. which I would say between these two cards is the worst one. And redeploying Golos again. This engine's not beatable at all. I only have one red. I can't even loot into Ruination. Okay, they got Cataracts, but Golos can't be activated. Deal. Young P, another one. Guess I can play Young Pyromancer, go to 1 from their attacks, looting next turn. I'm asking a lot of my deck here. Got also looting right now. Yeah, that gives me a 1/1 immediately. And more 1/1s. Okay. I don't regret that decision. I'm definitely just treading water here, but I'm glad I made that play. They can go get the Tabernacle just at their convenience, and then all of this falls apart. Just Golos attacking. I'll put an Elemental in front of that. I'm likely to have to pay for that with Tabernacle next turn anyway, which I'm not going to want to do. Golos is back again. They don't even need Tabernacle. Like, they could just get Glimmer Posts and get completely out of burn range. Did get the tab, though. I'm going to pay for my Flyers and my Young Pyromancer and let the other Elemental die. Or I could pay for everything this turn. Yeah, I'm just going to pay for everything this turn. That gives me another turn of blocking with the Elemental token and chance to draw Swords of Plowshares. That's not Swords of Plowshares. Flying creatures, let's go. They got to pay for their jerks now. Bouncing Golos is the same as paying for it, I guess. Except you don't get to attack. Yeah, block with Elemental, that's why I paid for it. There's just a lot of bricks in the deck that I could draw where spending like, basically I'd be paying for life for the opportunity to maybe draw a 2-mana spell that I can cast. And I don't think that's worth doing. Deploying a bunch of Candlesticks from hand. I'm going to pay for all my creatures again. Leaving red, or mountain and Grubland up. That covers all my colors. Village Rites is a really good one. I'm going to attack with one of these. Do I want a Rites now or later? I think I want to block Rites next turn. Not a whole lot of sorceries I'll miss. In Ruination still somehow just smashes this game back into my favor. I'm going to Village Rites, sacking the tapped Spirit token, which makes an untapped Elemental. Lingering Souls, that buys me a lot of time. Alright, I'm going to block both because of Tabernacle, and with Golos looping, I'm not going to race the Infinite Glimmer Post anyway. I'm just on the buy time until Ruination strat right now. Bouncing Golos again, yep. And Golos is back again. Eventually, they probably just get Eye of Ugin and kill me with something huge. There it is. Alright, Ruination right now. Last chance at this one. Crucible of Worlds, fuck. Alright, now Ruination doesn't even matter. And I guess it still matters, it's just not GG on its own anymore. Village Rites, okay. We'll keep doing this shit. Lingering Souls, make 3 homies, play a land, and I guess I can't Chain of Smog because, yeah, I mean, they have enough mana to activate Eye and immediately deploy whatever they want to cast with it. I haven't seen a Swords of Plowshares this game, or a Witch, either of which would have been pretty good. But yeah, like an early Swords of Plowshares, just clipping this Golos, and this whole engine isn't happening. Block, block. Okay, Village Rites. Guess I should fetch first. Not that this matters. Alright, I could find Swords of Plowshares right now off of this Village Rites. That's a thing. Alright, that was not a thing. Easy 10 mana off their 2 Cloud Posts. Can activate Eye with 3 floating, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They could Ulamog this turn. They can't quite Emrakul. If they Ulamog, they can exile Null Rod and then probably just redo the whole shit. Yeah. Yeah, there's Ulamog. Exile Null Rod. They can spend 2 on Candelabra, untap the 2 Cloud Posts. Cloud Posts float a million. Use the other Candelabra to untap the Cloud Post and the Eye of Ugin. Yep, you did it. The brewing and testing process, here it is, folks. We need a Disenchant effect. Wear Tear is probably the best one, and I would like Meltdown in this deck. GG's opponent. I'm on the draw in round number 2. This hand has all my colors and does the things that my deck does. I'm going to keep it. Opponent's on 6. A Flooded Strand. All right. My kind of magic card. I'm gonna play DRC and pass the turn. I gotta tell you, like, any brew that contains turn 1 Dragon's Rage Channeler and then spells to do stuff feels like the floor is pretty high. Like, I've immediately posed a question of my opponent. Some of the brews I play are like combo decks where it's like, you gotta get all the moving pieces in order before your opponent gets up and running. How about DRC Go? Like, deal with this. Let's do that first, and then you can figure out what the rest of my deck does. Okay. That's a good way to deal with that. Right, we have a blue-black Baleful Strix. Are you Grixis? Are you... What are you? I have literally 1 million lands in my hand, so I'm gonna Faithless Looting. Turn some of those into spells. In this Marsh Flats. Alright. Swords of Plowshares I'm pretty happy to see. I think Basic Swamp can go, and I don't really know what I'm doing with this Cabal Therapy yet. Caracas could still be good. My opponent assumed I was on Blue-Red Delver. Joke's on you. Alright, Prismatic Ending into the Graveyard. I just don't need more of that. Don't love a 2-for-1, but I do love continuing to pressure the opponent. Alright, you have an ending as well. We got some Esper business over here. Another Strix. Oh, okie dokie, artichokes. Here's the whole shit. I can Cabal Therapy, wait a turn, figure out what's going on. I could also just Prismatic Ending the Strix right now. I could Flashback Looting. That's not the worst. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna fetch Badlands and Flashback Looting. I would like to have an extra land to get the ball rolling with Sedgemoor Witch. Because if I cast it on 4 mana, I can immediately Cabal Therapy and then Therapy again from the graveyard. Thoughtseize makes that much better, so I'm going to just discard the 2 therapies. I'm locked and loaded. I need to see a land rolling off the top of the deck here. Brainstorm, powerful card. I still don't know if they're like Esper Vial or some sort of Esper Control or 4-color something. Ninjas, Doomsday. What are you doing? I recognize this username. This is a person I've played against before. Oh shit. Don't take my witch. No, my witch! Well, life just got worse. Sometimes you play around the bull and you get the horns. Ha! Had it. Had it. Always had it. Can no longer play around anything, but here's my Sedgemoor Witch. Can I have 1 turn with her in play? Maybe. Please. Please. Against your Esper control deck. Shit. Yeah, Ward Pay 3 life looks pretty sexy on paper until you realize that your deck's not actually applying any pressure, and that's worse than like Ward 1. Oh, there's the extra land. Right when I needed it. I guess I should play around Hymn to Turok by removing this thing. Maybe I could have fired off Chain of Smog there when they had 3 cards in hand. Yeah, when I'm Hellbent anyway and 2 of my 3 witches are gone, it's a good time to Smog. Ugh. I mean, my deck isn't that bad against Teferi. I mean, Village Rites is bad against Teferi, but most of the rest of the cards that I play line up reasonably. Do I want to just Chain of Smog? Now that they can cast, I guess I have to sandbag this because so many of my cards care about me casting a spell. And if I draw like Young Pyromancer, alright, Hymn to Turok, sure, you got my Chain of Smog. Could have done that in my draw step with Teferi, but right now is a good time too, I guess. The thought I was finishing was so many of my spells, my creatures care about casting a spell right away, and the 2 therapies in the graveyard like really get me up and rolling. Get another Badlands. Hell yeah, Village Rites. What's up? Snapcaster Mage. Are we gonna Ponder? Or are we gonna Hymn to Turok? Gonna Ponder. Or yeah, Ponder. You got it. Not Shuffle the Ponder. Okay, that's a very good card. Lingering Souls. And Lingering Souls. Could do therapies right now. I don't think I want to do that yet, though. I want as many spirits as possible. If I can challenge this Teferi in combat, life's going to be a lot better. Lingering Souls is just a really good magic card against anyone trying to play fair. And so far, my opponent's been pretty fair. I'd be surprised if there wasn't some sort of Days Undoing Hull Breacher business in this deck. If I had a black up, I could fizzle the Teferi. But okay. I don't, obviously. This Village Rites is the card that they could have got in my draw step with instant speed him to Turok. We're going to keep an eye on that one and see what they have to do and how far that cascades. I'm not trying to rub it in on my opponent, just trying to track the free money and how far we can ride it. This is a house money Village Rites. Do you attack? Probably. You can't block. Yeah, I would say so. And you're attacking for 4. I'm attacking for 3. I'm not going to block. We're going to race. Oh no, I've been Yuriko'd or something. Fallen Shinobi, it's so much worse. I should have blocked. How am I such a fool? I even said, what if they're ninjas? And they got a Lingering Souls, but do you even cast that? Because it ends up in my graveyard. Wow, I could have just fucking blocked. Such an idiot. I blew it. Yeah, didn't cast the souls. Okay, DRC is a good one. And then I'm going to attack with one of the spirits. And then I'm gonna Cabal Therapy naming Snapcaster Mage. Put Thoughtseize in the graveyard. Snapcaster Mage. Let's get a look at this hand. Otawara, Prismatic Ending, Brainstorm. I could Flashback Therapy again and name Brainstorm. I could Village Rites first, but then I should have attacked with 2 creatures. I'm not going to cascade mistakes. I'll draw 2 cards now. See if I can make anything happen out of this. Ooh. Don't currently have black mana. Right, I'll graveyard that. Draw 2 with Rites. There we go. That's what I was looking for. That is exactly why I played to my outs here. Young Pyromancer, Swords to Plowshares, you're a big idiot. I'll put another plow on top. And now I can Cabal Therapy, sacking the elemental token, naming Brainstorm. Do I want this on top? I know I just put it there. Yeah, sure. Brainstorm. And now the hand is Prismatic Ending and Otawara. Otawara can bounce Snapcaster for bonus value. I assume Ending is going to wipe out Young Pyromancer immediately. Yep. If they try to get cute with the Otawara, my plow will be a blowout. I'm just going to attack for 4 with my flyers. I'm going to leave back the X1. You show me Fallen Shinobi once. That's not something I'm going to play into twice. Oh, Kaya. That's gross. Played Otawara. Kaya can exile my Channeler. I'm going to plow Snapcaster in response and get one last trigger on the way through. They have 1 card left in hand. Oh god, it's Force of Will. That worked out well. That's why they played out the last land. That makes a lot of sense. Don't want Chain of Smog. And now I'm in trouble to this Kaya. I like that card, though. Fucking Chain of Smog is in the graveyard. Okay, I'm going to attack Kaya with both. They'll block with Snapcaster to protect their Planeswalker, but that Elemental's not really getting better. We are both Hellbent right now. And there's Sedgemoor Witch. Let's go. F6. Oh god, Ponder. Couldn't draw basic planes. Just give me a turn here. Ponder did not shuffle and drew Murktide Regent. Okay, well, I do get to kill Kaya because Sedgemoor Witch has Menace. There's 1 Swords to Plowshares left in my deck and 2 Lingering Souls. We got some game here. They could just yeet the Kaya to get rid of my spirit. Yeah, they did go after the graveyard. Okay. Lingering Souls, baby. Okay, attack Kaya with my Menace Witch. And then load up. Bang. 6 dudes. Alright. We might be able to out-tempo this Murktide Regent, depending on what else is on top of this deck here. I do have to block. And we go to my turn. Bloodstain Mire, not helpful. I'm going to attack with all but 2 of my spirits. I don't want to lose to 1 removal spell, but I do want to push as much damage as I can. I'm going to leave this land in my hand in case I draw Looting. That actually makes card selection a thing. Block. Okay, they are dead on board. They've shown me Snapcaster Mage. Oh my god, I didn't think we were winning that one, but they hit the concede button. You love to see it. Pyroblast definitely coming in. Do I like surgical extraction? Maybe, probably not. I'm just going to take it easy with the Pyroblast here. That's going to be the whole strat. Wall Therapy was pretty good. Meathook Massacre lines up really well against Baleful Strix. I like that. Might not need two of those, though. I mean, beating up on Snapcaster and Baleful Strix is nice. I'll dig for that one when I need it. Goblin Bombardment also challenges those cards. I like Chain of Smog for this matchup. Ending, we saw Teferi. Yeah, we saw lots of stuff for ending. I think I want to shave a Faithless Looting. And like Chain of Smog's pretty bad when it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Alright, I'll leave one Chain of Smog in there. And just try to play fair. I can keep this. Alright, they're on 6 again. Land Ponder. 100 does not cast Hymn to Turok, so I don't need to think about that on turn 1 here. That just affects like what I cast Cabal Therapy on. And if I cast Cabal Therapy at all. And I think I just passed the turn. Like, I would really like to turn 3 this Cabal Therapy, but it doesn't always go how you want it to. I don't think I Pyroblast this. No, I just want to outmuscle that. Oh, but they have the Ninja, but it's a 4-drop. I can wait. Lingering Souls. I'm just going to cast Young Pyromancer here. Or I could hold up Pyroblast for Teferi. I might have blown it. No, I'm going to just threaten the max. Because I have the second Young Peasy. If they just go Teferi bounce, then I still get my same turn 3 play of Peasy Therapy, Retherapy. If they spend a removal spell, then they don't get to play Teferi. Alright, wow. Alright. I'm going to fetch here. I can't get basic play in, so I have to get the scrub land. Do I want more black or more red? Probably more red. Like, it's between plateau and scrub land. I'm going to get more black. Okay, Young Peasy with Pyroblast backup, just in case. Gonna Cabal Therapy. Get a trigger here. And I'm gonna name... Let's see, would they have cast Prismatic Ending? What would they not have cast yet? Kaya? But I can get Kaya with the second round. She's probably not... You don't play many of those. Could have cast Hymn to Turok. You could have another Swords to Plowshares, but would they have fired it off already? Brainstorm? Would you have cast Brainstorm yet? I'm going to name Brainstorm. Plague Engineer, Surgical Extraction. Okay. Well, immediately flashback. They don't get priority to Surgical this, and I'm going to name Plague Engineer. Okay, Plague Engineer is gone. 2 lands and Surgical are in the hand over there. Okay, go. Please don't draw something that kills me right now. Baleful Strix, pretty good. Yep, whatever. And I can Therapy, Retherapy here. I can name Surgical with the first one. If they fire it off, just taking my Bloodstained Mires, that actually helps me because I don't want to draw those. Okay, sure, deal. They do get to look at my hand, but Surgical's gone either way here. And their hand is Pluto Delta, 1 mystery card. I think they would have played Murktide Regent, but let's have a look. Oh, it's Snapcaster Mage. Yeah, I'll take that. Flashback Therapy, sacking the Summoning Sick Elemental. Take your Snapcaster. And the Pyroblast also check that, but if I don't have to spend my Pyroblast, I'd rather save it for Murktide Regent. And this Elemental can start beating up these Strixes. I'm set on Teferi, I'm set on Murktide Regent. I am going to be aggro tempo here and hit their Brainstorm. Just knowing that they're functionally hellbent while I'm adding to my board is huge. Dramatic Ending. Don't really care about that. Back with my elementals. And I'm going to use this window to pile up Lingering Souls. And they've had enough Mardu tokens on the board. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. On the play in round 3, there is not any disruption in this hand, but it does loot into Lingering Souls. I'm going to keep. This is the fairest thing anyone's done in Legacy in probably 9 years. Discard Souls and probably Prismatic Ending. Don't even have a white source right now. I have 2 of that effect. Oh, we're doing this. Emery. Okay. And there is an echo there. You ever just been shithoused? Okay. I at least found an answer to Emery. Unless they also follow up with Chalice the Void. Big oof. Alright. Well, at least I can target Emery with something. Do I want the black or the red? Probably the black. Kind of a game of chicken here, where I tried to pass into my end step before I plowed to see if I could get this Urza's Bauble out of play, because if Bauble's out of play, then Opal's off, but I don't know if any of that matters. And I'm not going to play chicken into their upkeep when they can Bauble and immediately target it with Emery and get another card. Okay, I guess I'm just casting my best card here, which is Sedgemoor Witch. I don't think I need to worry about mana destruction out of this deck. Need a spell. Oh, well, glad I didn't cast Village Rites. Jeez. Now I mostly can't. I mean, I still can. They get 2 treasures. It would just have to be worth it to me somehow. I guess if I have 2 token makers and just bet that my treasures will be more important. This attack means they have a second Hall Breacher, or that they are worried about Sedgemoor Witch. Okay, stuck a Spell Bomb. Sheesh, just out of luck here. I do have Menace, so I don't need to worry about this Saga token. You're gonna get a Moto. Illegal blocking, Sedgemoor Witch. Yeah, that's what I thought. Still bad for me, but all the same. Here's Young Peasy. You saw the Badlands in my hand with Urza's Bauble. Yeah, that first Echo Vian's really jacked up my business here. I don't think they're going to get Pithing Needle, but I'm going to fetch anyway. LED, okay. Let's hope that's just growing constructs and not actually echoing. Okay, they have tapped out of... No, they haven't. They have Lion's Eye Diamond. They can Aether Spellbomb if they need to. Bummer. Didn't attack with All Breacher this time. Okay, I'm not blocking. How about, like, Swords to Plowshares? That actually kind of goes off. Lingering Souls. That doesn't really do anything. It's like a medium-sized number of things into play. Needed that before the Hall Breacher came in. Is this enough material to stay alive for a turn? Probably not. But if I attack now, I can clear the Hall Breacher, because they have to double block. I'm in for that. Not that that matters at all. They get at least 2 more artifacts between the Saga activation. Oh, they didn't make a homie. They must have the Echo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can't cast Echo from hand and then flash it back afterwards. The LEDs. They need another mana for that. Wait, no. What did I count wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is Turtle. What the hell is happening? They're just like have a weird amount of mana floating. Oh, they floated a mana for Urza Saga. I missed that. So they can Echo from hand and then flip it out of the graveyard too. And Lion's Eye Diamond does not tap to activate, so they could Kappa and then also Echo here. Otawara targeting Sedgemoor Witch. That will cost you 3 life, but you have it. And then if you Echo after this, that clears my Witch and everything else. Oh yeah. Yeah, we don't need to see anything else here. Because the Echo makes the constructs and the Kappa both larger. We're good. Okay, Null Rod and Pyroblasts are coming in here. Deafening Silence looks pretty good. Meat Hook Massacre. I didn't see Psy. That doesn't mean they don't have him. Wall Therapy is really awkward because you don't want to... Like, the card I'm worried about is Echo, and you don't want them to just discard that card. I'm going to go thinner on Cabal Therapy. Yeah, Meat Hook is really good against Psy and bad against everything else. I'm going to cut one of those. I might come back for the second one. Still figuring it out. Souls is really slow here. So is Prismatic Ending. Like, I'm worried about Chalice of the Void, but at the same time, they're an Echo build, like classic Urza Echo, or not necessarily Urza, but classic Echo, and not just full 8 cast. Yeah, I still think Meat Hook Massacre's got to go. And do I want access to my maximum number of Chain of Smogs? Do I want Goblin Bombardments? I think I need all my combo potential in the deck. And Deafening Silence makes my combo potential awkward, but you know what I mean. Village Rites is dangerous with Hull Breacher and Chalice both in the enemy deck. Alright, I'm going to shave a Village Rites, leave Lingering Souls there. One of the ones that performs better just on its own. One of the weaker cards in a vacuum, but if I assume various hate pieces are coming in, Lingering Souls does put 4 power and toughness into play. If I get them under like a Null Red pinch, that's the kind of card that can win a game. Well, oh my god. All in on drawing a land? Yeah, let's go. I have 1 drop and I need to draw a land. Let's do the damn thing. I wish one of these was Meltdown, like my deck was supposed to be built. Then I would actually have a really potent turn 2 play, even if I don't draw the land. Like Meltdown for 0 triggering DRC will probably affect this deck. And I'm not going to be too picky about an opening hand because I might not have it on turn 2 anymore. Okay, multiple things that fold to Null Rod. Keep them coming. Not that one. Okay, more things that fold to Null Rod. Okay, deck. Chip the land. Give it to me. Not mad about that. I'm going to Pyroblast Emery. Get my Surveil on. Thoughtseize in the graveyard. I need a land more than I need a Thoughtseize. They just saw Swords to Plowshares with Urza's Bauble. Didn't use the other Bauble. They're keeping their Mox Opal on. Yeah, that's a good one. Alright, deck, time for that land. They saw Swords to Plowshares at random again. And... nope. That is at least a spell I can cast through Chalice if we get there, but really needed to knock out this Seat of the Synod and Mox Opal before it was too late. Kind of missed the window here. Like any 4-drop, whether it's Urza, Karn, Echo, it doesn't fucking matter. God. I could have mulliganed this hand. It's on me. Also, if this deck was constructed correctly, like I literally had a version of this deck built with Meltdown in it, and I must have just walked away from it, came back, and finished a different build. If this was Meltdown, we would have killed the Seat of the Synod and the Mox Opal 2 turns ago and gotten a second Surveil. But as it stands, this game is over. Disappointing. I am on the play against a Yorion deck in round 4, and fuck this 1-lander. Replace any card in this hand at random with a land and I'm in, but I'm not going to keep 1-lander against what's probably Death and Taxes, even though the Meat Hook Massacre is fucking fire. Okay, there we go. I'll keep this one and send Sedgemoor Witch. I'm going to fetch a Badlands. Cabal Therapy. I could skip Cabal Therapy. Like, I could Therapy naming Aether Vial, but Mother of Runes is almost as bad. I could wait and make sure I get Young Pyromancer in. Tough call. Alright, I'm gonna fetch Badlands. Expose myself to Wasteland. Wish I could name Wasteland with Cabal Therapy. I'm gonna name Vial, though. Oh, okay. We are something different. Good to know. This is some sort of Uro pile. Well, Young Peasy, get in. You want to Force a Will this. Hope you do, because they have another one. We're going to Brainstorm checking for white removal. Nope. Alright, never mind. Fetching a basic in response for some reason. Savannah, did you find an ending? You found a Lao. Okay. Deal. I suppose. Cool. Young Pyromancer. Fetch for another Badlands. Gonna Faithless Looting, which is basically mill 2. Meat Hook and Bombardment. Yeah, I think those are both worse than Village Rites here. Therapy, because it's free. Probably Brainstorm in response. At least made the Brainstorm weird. I could name Force of Will. I don't think they would have hid that card. I could name Swords to Plowshares or Prismatic Ending. Probably Ending between those two. Can't name Uro. They're happy to have that one in the graveyard. Yeah, I'm just going to name Force of Will. I'm not convinced they would have hid that, but it's a card that I knew they have. Still going to name it. Don't really have a better guess. Okay, cool. Ah, shit, they do have the Prismatic Ending. You snake. Alright, well. At least I hit something. Don't like this Wasteland, though. Who does that? Oh, did they just missequence that? There's an Uro floating around here somewhere. Or no, they're gonna ending in Wasteland, yeah. I was about to say the Uro could have put the Wasteland in and advanced the board, but I am thoroughly contained here. I'm not gonna flashback looting right now. I could rights right now. Yeah, this thing probably isn't getting better. If I can get another creature down right now, yeah, that's a good one. There are 4 card types in the graveyard. Channeler, let's go. Looting just got a lot better. Here comes Uro. I can ending Uro when it comes back. It will have done a lot of Uro shit by then. This looks like a Field of the Dead deck with the Snow Forest and regular Forest. Oh, that's interesting. That's probably better than looting. Get Sedgemoor Witch in here. Attack for 3. Has to fight. If they slam Uro here, I hope it doesn't come with a Wasteland. So I can answer Uro while advancing my board. At this juncture, I'm pretty glad I took the Force of Will earlier. Left Wasteland in the graveyard, indicating a loam deck. Okay, no land came off of Uro. So those are 4 spells over there. Birds of Paradise, kind of a spell. Oh, the hooks. Someday. All right, let's see if they have another force. Black, red, white. Force of Plowshares, I'll leave that on top. Uro gone. It is, cool. I get to mush for 6. We have undone the Uro. At least on life points. They're still up 2 cards. I'm ready for the next one. Plow on top of the deck. Keep the spells coming at this point. Ramanap, bummer. Well, glad I have Plow. And they put Yorion in hand. So they're holding Yorion. Gonna Plow, Excavator. Get another Pest. I have to make this decision before I know if Ramanap's gone. I'm gonna put it on top. I feel like I'm gonna need lands one way or the other. Of course, pitching Yorion. Okay. Glad I left a land on top. And for another 6. Oh, I'm gonna have to sandbag this land because it also gets wastelanded. But wasting me isn't gonna win this game on its own. I have a bunch of 3-power creatures coming in. And they have 2 non-blue spells in their hand. Zenith for 3. While they tap their wasteland, I'm kind of scared of whatever this is. Like, is it Grist? Oh, Endurance. That's okay, I guess. It makes BRC small again. It gives me a turn to party. Magic ending my Witch. That costs you 3 life to activate, or to cast. Meat Hook Massacre deals 3 to them, and I gain a life, and then I just lose. Yeah, that's what that looks like. I do get 1 Surveil trigger on the way through. If I attack with all my stuff first, that doesn't really do anything. Yeah, I think this one is over. This Ramanap Excavator, too good. Is there any other way to play this game? I guess I could Meat Hook for 0, leave all my creatures in play, and take my Surveil. Try to get back in the air, but Endurance will stop me there too. What happens if I just put them to 2 and get the hooks in? Right, I think I'm going to just hook here. And attacking does less damage than just hooking. Or I could hook, take the Surveil, leave my creatures in play. Yeah, I think that's better. Sedgemoor Witch, I'm never casting that. Put it in the graveyard. Yeah, they're going to waste me down to just white mana this turn. They can waste and then replay the land again immediately. I'm just getting obliterated by Wasteland, which is a thing that my deck can play around. I don't know if I chose not to or was not able to. I can just fetch basics and mitigate a lot of this. Oh, that's actually really good. That's the last 2 damage if I can get this spell onto the stack. They didn't play any spells. They have a way to gain life. I'm probably just fucked. Here's Field of the Dead right off the top. I guess they could add in their hand. They wastelanded last turn. That would have been the play. Oh, prime time. All right. Gonna have to cheese them out. So if I run a runner like basic land, I could still win this game. I will chump block the 3 power. The 6 power I can't block. They lose a life, I gain a life. Land? Tilt. This taps for green. green is not red, unfortunately. I think that was my window to do anything. Though I guess if Endurance gets too rowdy, I don't know. I'm trying to think like what happens if I draw just Mountain and loot into Delirium. Right, Endurance is attacking, leaving back all the zombies. They do have Birds of Paradise over there. Need a bunch more zombies. I'll block 3 damage. Drain you for 1. I take 6. You take 1. Or I take 5 after the life gain. Basic Mountain. That is kind of the thing I wanted. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, okay. So I'm dead if I get Delirium. I need to... Or I guess I could looting into Prismatic Ending or Plow and actually just win right now. Oof, but if I miss on that, it's really bad. What if I just leave back this blocker? Am I dead anyway? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 16, 17. Yeah, I'm dead anyway. All right, I guess I better do this. All right, let's find a Plow or Prismatic Ending. DRC into the graveyard. Faithless Looting. Found Prismatic Ending. Discard land sorcery. And I need to mill over a new card type. I need to find an instant on the top. Can we do it? Nope. Bummer. Did a lot of work there. Couldn't make it happen. Almost. Okay, we're done. That was a close one. Wasteland came up. That was a card that was kind of on my radar as could be a problem if it could be recurred, but my basics, whatever, still bringing in Ruination against this deck. Even though they did just Wasteland me out, I think this is worse for them than it is for me. And they do have Yorion and cantrips. Not sure if Pyroblast is where I want to be. I think Cabal Therapy and Thoughtseize are going to do more for me than Pyroblast will. Beathook Massacre can actually stabilize against a Field of the Dead. X equals 2. I gain a zillion. I think I can shave a Therapy and what is real bad against Endurance. Leovold is a card that's probably in their deck. I want my Prismatic Endings. I want my Swords to Plowshares. I want to be able to combo kill them. Is Lingering Souls the next worst card, or is it Sedgemoor Witch? I feel like it's Souls. It's the repeatable effect of Sedgemoor Witch versus the upfront army in a can of Lingering Souls. Alright, I'm doing this. Gotta be careful with Dragon's Rage Channeler versus Endurance, but they are an 80 card deck and probably are gonna need a Zenith for it most of the time. That'll protect me from any surprises in combat. Cabal Therapy and Goblin Bombardment. I'll keep this. I could Therapy Zenith just in the dark. And I can fetch Basic Swamp to do it. Yeah, I'm just gonna go after Zenith. Green Sun Zenith. How do we do? Swing and a miss. 80 card blue soup deck. It's hard to hit with a blind Cabal Therapy, but I feel like Zenith was a reasonable choice. They just had the Birds of Paradise in hand. All natural. Uro Intuition. I didn't bring in my Surgicals. Probably needed this. I don't know, like this deck, diluting your plan is a serious problem. I guess you bolt the bird, right? Yeah, I'm gonna invest in just killing Birds of Paradise, try to slow them down a bit. I have Plow for my Witch, so I want to try to find some value off of that. There's the Abundant Growth. ERC. Okay, that's a good one. I can choose to cast Channeler first and get a Surveil, or I can cast Bombardment first and get a damage. I'd rather get a Surveil. ERC. Badlands, Goblin Bombardment, Trigger, Young Pyromancer. I think I do want that in the graveyard. So I have Sedgemoor Witch, and I'm just looking for ways to pay it out. That Surveil gave me an extra 2 life. Appreciate that. I could have also just immediately Cabal Therapied, since I know I was getting plowed anyway, but that leaves the Therapy in the graveyard and flushes out the Plow. That's a good deal. Yeah, Surgical Extraction being able to trigger Sedgemoor Witch immediately would be pretty decent. Found a Wasteland. I'm not really stuck on lands right now. Also, this particular mana base makes Ruination looks like a terrible card in my deck. I'm learning so much. Okay. Mama Sedge, get in there. Right, I gotta draw a spell. There's something that triggers Sedgemoor Witch. God, they have the Ramanep again. Didn't even have to Zenith for it, just have it. It's alright. I can play around at this game. Oh no, do you have a Swords to Plowshares also? Please cast Abundant Growth. Ugh. Forgot to throw it at them. I've already conceded this game in my head. Yeah, Thoughtseize is not going to get around this Uro. Yeah, we're done here. That was tough. Having the second plow, maybe I should have therapied. Chance I would have got both. Definitely should have had Surgical and should not have had Ruination in there. Just kind of sideboarded. I saw one half of their deck game one, and then they showed me, I guess it's not really a different half, it's just they had a lot of basics this time. And having this Ramanep Excavator just in your hand after you draw Wasteland. Like my Cabal Therapy 2 turns ago did not see Wasteland, Ramanep, or Swords to Plowshares, and those were the 3 cards they played. Yeah, tough beats. On to the final round. On the draw for the final round. This hand does the things this deck wants to do. I'm going to keep it. It's got mana to cast spells. Hope it comes together. Hope it lines up right. I can just blind therapy naming Swords to Plowshares. I think that's reasonable. Could also just wait till turn 3 and hit 2 things. I don't know. It's tough. Legacy's so powerful right now that it's hard to wait on a potentially interactive spell. Right, Swords to Plowshares. Show me 3 of them. We got 1. Oh god. Thassa's Oracle. Dress Down. Wasteland. Another Wasteland deck. Get out of here with this shit. What are you people doing to me? Okay, well I have Basic Swamp, Basic Plains available. Unfortunately, the card I want to cast is red. There is the Wasteland. And I did hit on Cabal Therapy, so scoreboard on that one. Ooh, DRC. Okay, fuck it. We are not playing around the second Wasteland here. I don't think I would have played around the second Wasteland anyway, but definitely not with Channeler around. Wonder what this Oracle's doing. Is this a Paradigm Shift deck? Or what are you doing here? What's going on? Tell me more. Okay, they can end step, dress down, untap Uro, and it's just in play if that's a line they want to take. Not even convinced that's good. Like, that's frequently just worse than putting Uro into play. I do have Sedgemoor Witch. I don't have my 3rd land. Disappointing. Going to attack. Guess I'm casting Young Pyromancer. Like, casting Young Pyromancer is, I think, a freebie here. Like, that's gonna happen. Now, I can Cabal Therapy them and either get a Surveil or a token out of the deal. Neither of which is really bad. But I'm gonna try to leave my material in play and beat them fair. I think just the Aristocrats style decks need many triggers to occur to get anywhere. Right, they are doing the dress down thing. Finding land number 3 from Prismatic Ending just got really important. Yep, there's that. You knew about that one. Whoa. That wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah, if they get to draw 3 cards, or draw a card and gain 3 life. Well, folks, at least this league is comped now. Well, we're playing for free. I'm submitting a bug report. My opponent just gained a life and drew a card they shouldn't have. Yeah, the thing I don't like about this dress down into Uro line most of the time is that drawing the card and gaining the life is the point of Uro in these early parts of the game. Like a 6/6 doesn't generally stick like so. And like that's just not important. Like you give up the strength of Uro, which is that it's just nasty card advantage all the time. And what you gain is a 6/6. I wish I could have therapied first to strip a Force of Will, but not at the expense of one of my real creatures. Bummer. Yeah, maybe I needed to do that, or just fucking die, which is what I'm going to do instead. Alright, Cabal Therapy. Sacrifice the Elemental token. Gonna take this Thassa's Oracle that I now know about. Gonna leave that land on top still. Oh. Where did Oracle go? Did they play a Brainstorm? What? Oh, they literally just pitched it to Force of Will. I'm the dumbest person on the planet. All right. Yep, they're a Doomsday deck. Okay, got it. And because Uro's in play, they're going to get to attack. I mean, none of their lands cast Doomsday. I'm excited to see how this bears out. And by excited, I mean I can afford to chump block here. I think if I can make this game last longer, kill this Uro, life is good. They can, if they find the black source for Witherbloom command, they can mill me. Like Witherbloom command is mill target player and you pick up a land. All right, they didn't find that. Here's Bloodstained Mire. Gonna get another Badlands. Keep those coming. Prismatic Ending, white, black, red. Doing this pre-combat in case I hit Delirium. Goblin Bombardment. That can set up a multi-turn line. This does give me Delirium, but they have Endurance. Like if I go Sedgemoor Witch next turn, all right, I'm actually leaving this on top. Because if I go Sedgemoor Witch next turn, and then the turn after that, if I draw a land on the following turn, I can go Bombardment Chain, GG. All right, they found the black source. If they target me with Witherbloom command, if they target DRC and me, then DRC will be delirious when the spell resolves. They are targeting themselves, though. They do know how this works. They get to pick up Wasteland. God damn it. They picked up Misty Rainforest. All right. They're trying to cast this Doomsday. I'll take that. All right. Queen Sedge. Let's go. And even if I don't draw the land, I can make infinite 1/1s next turn. And if I do draw the land, we're just throwing confetti in the air. There's that Misty. On deck, land. Not a land. Do I want Faithless Looting? I could loot, look for a land. Alright, I'm going to loot. I can still cast Chain of Smog this turn, but I'm going to have to discard my hand anyway if I go for the combo. I discard Souls and Meat Hook Massacre. I could Souls right away and just get to work. Or I could go for the combo, put them to the test, and yeah, I'm just going for the combo. Do I want to swing for the fences? I could Village Rites, sack my pest token, try to draw another black source. But if the game's over, then the game's over. All right, stop it. Stop it right now. Okay, Chain of Smog myself. Let's do it. One of us is dead. Were they going to force the first copy? That would honestly be great. Yes. You're supposed to let the first one resolve and then counter the subsequent ones. Like once I'm hellbent, I would have had one more pest token, but I would also just not have 2 cards in my hand. And that was not a black source. All right, Swords to Plowshare is pretty good. And we know Endurance, Doomsday are the 2 cards in hand. Endurance is a really good one. Gonna pop that off before I can Souls. Yeah, story checks out. Doomsday is the only card in that hand. They have 1 black source in play. Caracas and Goblin Bombardment. I'll play Bombardment. I'm not going to attack. I'm just going to pass the turn for now. I could attack with both, stack the one they blocked to Village Rites, and just push a damage and draw some cards, but I don't think that's good. You're not trying to race me right now. Appreciate that. Oh, another Queen Sedge. Let's go. Do you draw another force? Nope. Love it. Now I do want a Village Rites because it's free. Like the pest replaces itself, and I get to draw 2 cards. They thought about not blocking due to the possibility of, I guess, Lightning Bolt. And the Bombardment will be a problem eventually. Maybe I didn't want to play out that swamp, just add my hand for Faithless Looting. I think I'm still playing in like a gotta recover from Wasteland mindset, which is not true because I've pulled ahead of that. Loam targeting Wasteland and Forest. Okay, JK, maybe I did need that. Wasteland my Caracas. Is that important? Are you a legend deck? Interesting. I'll take it. Swords to Plowshares. That's a good card. All right, I'm just going to plow this Endurance. Start moving forward here. If 4 creatures in play, if they cast Doomsday, they'll go to 5. If I get a 5th creature in play, they can't Doomsday. Faithless Looting is literally just mill 2. Do I want to mill 2? There are Lingering Souls in my deck. Yeah, I'm going to mill 2. Thoughtseize land. Well, now I have 5 creatures in play. So if they cast Doomsday, they lose 6 life, and then they die. Oh, Loam flipped over Uro. Are you kidding me? Stop with this. I just came up with a plan. Killing me, Smalls. Oh, there's Uro. Now we got to deal with this. The looting in my graveyard. Wasting the Caracas is making sense again. Okay. They just used their land drop, so they can't loam the Wasteland back up right now. There's an Urborg in the graveyard that can mess with me next turn. That lets them cast Doomsday. Channeler. Do I want Channeler? I think I'd rather loot. There's 1 plow left in the deck. Many discard spells. Yeah, I think I want to loot, leaving up red-black. That did not improve. And I'm going to discard the land and the Young Peasy and attack with all of my creatures. I can fling the one that they block. Shoot you for 1, I gain 1. You take 6, down to 7. Dragon's Rage Channeler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're at 1 on board. Please crack that fetch land. Didn't fall for it. And Doomsday is not castable, even from 10 life off of Uro. That's not a choice. They could loam, wasteland me, attack with Uro. Okay, no, that doesn't work. They wouldn't have a land drop left. Witherbloom Command targeting my thing. No! That was my plan to win. They're also draining me for life points. All right, well, that's gone. I'm not sinking any of my actual attackers into that, but now they can Doomsday and win. That was a really good draw. Witherbloom Command's a hell of a card. Yeah, Uro happens. I mean, they could have loamed up the Urborg, played Doomsday, and then attacked with Uro. Oh, they pitched Thassa's Oracle to force 1,000 years ago. This Doomsday might not be in play right now. Attack for 10 on the backswing right now. There's another Goblin Bombardment in my deck. Prismatic Ending. Disappointing. Alright. At least it got another 3 life off it all the way through. Alright, deck. We need to race an Uro. There she is. Keep that happening. Attack for 7. Switch it to 2. Play the Rewitchening. That's a menace creature. I have a flying creature and a menace creature. This attack puts them to 5 and me to 10. Brainstorm. Okay. When they started tapping mana in combat, I was like, is this a ninja? I would not rule out Yuriko based on every other card we've seen so far. Fetching to 4. Rest down up front. Okay. Narset. Okay. The dress down must have drawn the Narset, or else you would have Narseted first. Narset finds Prismatic Ending. That can hit Channeler. I can't hit Witch right now. Channeler's gone. You're still dead. Oh my god, that was a thrill fest. Okay, I feel like Ruination's going to be really good against this deck, but I've said that every other time too. I'm bringing in Surgicals this time. Maybe not all 3. They're not like Reanimator, but having access to clearing Uros seems important. We saw Narset, Force of Will, Brainstorm. All right, how skinny can I get on other stuff, I suppose? We saw Endurance, so there's multiple targets for Swords to Plowshares that matter. I think Meat Hook's probably not where I want to be, even though it's exactly where I want to be. I do want to cast that card again, but I don't think I get to. Goblin Bombardment is the sauce. Meat Hook Massacre doesn't actually kill anything in their deck. I feel like I want to shave a Looting. After seeing Narset and Endurance, Looting gets a bit worse. I like Dragon's Rage Channeler a lot. I like the Chain of Smog being able to combo kill. Can I shave another Swords to Plowshares? Ugh. This makes endurance a huge problem, but I can go wide on endurance and use surgicals and pyroblast to control Uro. And I still have the endings. Cabal therapy. I can probably shave one of those. I've been doing that a lot. And I don't really want to cut a Lingering Souls, but I think that's what's left in the deck to cut here. All right, let's do it. This one is not exactly a heater. Does it need to be? I think I can do a little better. That's much worse. Okay, straight to 5. And I will keep this one. Don't need 2 Goblin Bombardments, and I think I send this Edgemore Witch just due to mana efficiency. Tropical Island Ponder. Good taste in opening plays. Chain of Smog after sending this Edgemore Witch. You love to see it. After seeing Wasteland last game, I would like to find a red fetchland or basic mountain directly, but might not get that luxury. Another Reb. Alright, I'm just going to pass. I'm not going to play Young Pyromancer. We've seen Narset. I don't want that to happen. I wouldn't counter the front half of Uro. Yep, unfortunate. We'll counter the back half of Uro, if necessary. There's the Wasteland. Well, come on, basic mountain. Shit. Yeah, the mulligan's catching up here. I could just fetch 2 Badlands, hope they don't have Loam or Witherbloom Command, or anything. Or I could keep playing around this. I'm gonna hold another turn. Unfortunately, even if they flush out the Pyroblast, Wasteland's still gonna get me, because it's still the basic mountain problem. Life from the Loam. Alright, and they have Loam. I hope they cast Narset, then try to protect it with Force of Will. Nope, just a Ponder. Damn it. Ponder did not shuffle. Oh my god, I'm peasy flooded. And the Loam with the Wasteland just can't even do anything. Like, I can't even pretend to just shove through the Wasteland and play on red mana here, because it's not a choice that I have. Yeah, Bloodstained Mire is the one I play the most of. I just happen to draw 2 Marsh Flats here. Okay, here's Narset. Time to fight this fight. Red Blast. Please force this. Didn't fall for it. Gonna easily Wasteland me. I'm on Basic Mountain right now. It's time. Basic Mountain right now. At it the whole time. Swamp. Mountain. And Young Pyromancer. I imagine there is a Swords to Plowshares at the ready here. I've seen so many cards this game already. Yup. Dredged Loam. They can slam Uro. Yep. Yeah, hitting land drops against the person who is now playing Uro from the graveyard already. Not where you want to be. I'm gonna Pyroblast this thing, because that's what I have to do. Okay, we're dead. Maybe I do need all 3 surgicals in. I just really... you only want to draw 1, but it's really important to have that one. Okay, fine. Surgical Extraction is in. I guess if I'm cutting plows, I need to replace them with real answers to Uro. And they're also a Loam deck. I should respect that. I can go down on Ruination. Alright, that's what I'm doing. This hand is extremely reactive. I'm going to keep it, though. It does have all my mana on basics, and my various engines are ready to roll. Maybe I should have hung the Badlands out there, see if I could flush out a turn 1 Wasteland, because I don't even mind that. I guess I want to get my mana under me. I can't even really hang out this Goblin Bombardment, because they have Witherbloom Command and Prismatic Ending in their deck. I guess I could just make them have it, though. I'm going to get my Mountain now. And I can fetch a Swamp, or just play the Swamp from my hand. Play the Swamp from my hand, get Bombardment in play. They can't Witherbloom Command it this turn, because Basic Island doesn't lead into that, even if they do have Urborg. That just doesn't do all of the colors. They can Prismatic Ending it. They could also have nothing. Alright, nothing is the answer. Another one played around it. I'm going to run out my Bloodstained Mire and another Bombardment. Load this up. Fetch for a Trop in the end step. And no surprise there. There's Uro. I do have Prismatic Ending. This game, Uro did not make a land drop. 7 spells in their hand. I'm gonna fetch my other basic swamp right now. Just have all that ready. Ugh. Ugh, I say. Yeah, when you keep a hand on spec, hoping to draw one of your token enablers and draw all lands again instead, not gonna cut it. Loam, yeah, that sets up Uro next turn with both the 4th mana for Uro and the necessary cards to escape it. Gonna fetch my plains here. Try to thin out my deck where I can. No cantrips in this deck that care about shuffling. Oh my god. Someday I'll cast a spell. At least that's a backup, because there's a good chance they have force. Didn't dredge loam. Alright, not in a hurry to Uro here. The Evolve. Alright, that's a nightmare. Yeah, if I prismatic ending that, they draw a card and then force it. Yeah, playing Urborg doesn't really matter. Oh my god. Lands. Ending, white, black, red. Gotta target this thing, even if I'm quite sure it won't resolve. Oh wow. Didn't expect that to work. The Leo's out. Did dredge loam this time. Unearth is in this deck. Wow. And Supreme Verdict. There's no rules. No, nothing is sacred over there. Give me my fucking Ruination. Brainstorm, okay. They do have 2 basics. That's enough to cast loam again if I Ruination. It's unfortunate. There's Uro. No red blast here. Gonna fetch a white source right now. Again, just trying to thin out the bad draws in my deck. Come on, deck. Help me out here. Faithless Looting is not the worst card I could draw. Let's loot. Okay, discard Badlands and Faithless Looting. And then I can Dragon's Rage. No, I can't. Oh no. Because then I can't ending for enough to actually end Uro. Yeah, white, black, red. Unfortunate. And there's the Force of Will. Yeah, they figured out what the important card is here. Okay, I think this Uro connecting once is going to end the game. But I guess I have to try to draw for... I guess I have Swords to Plowshares and Looting's in the graveyard. I can try to make infinite tokens still. But it's sliding away. The classic Uro versus decks with discard spells in them matchup that has plagued Legacy for 2 years now. There's a Ponder. Another Ponder. First Ponder chose to shuffle. Ace the Mind Sculptor. That's a good card. Brainstorming. Uro's attacking. Putting in Wasteland. That would be the cherry on top of this turn. Nope, just an island. Okay. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Go. Faithless Looting. Get my Surveil. Red Blast. I'll put that on top. Then draw 2. Discard 2. Oh no! Finally, Young Pyromancer shows up when it's too late to matter. I could just somehow ignore Uro right now. I could put Red Blast, but Marsh Flats is my red source. Yeah, I would have to discard Village Rites and Young Pyromancer in order to cast Red Elemental Blast right now. Christ, this is bad. And they have Jace and Uro right now. Red Blast, I should have milled the Red Blast. Or maybe the Scrubland's supposed to be Plateau. Like, if this was Plateau instead of Scrubland, my last 2 turns would have been a lot better. Alright, I'm going to get rid of Reb and Marsh Flats. Just hope to make something out of this game with Young Pyromancer starting next turn. Which is something of a dream. Maybe I can deck them. I just draw too many cards and can't get through my tokens. That's what I'm looking for here. Ponder. We're up to 3 basic lands in play. Oh, please cast Doomsday. Yes. So excited. They already brainstormed with Jace. I'm not sure if that means anything. The Uro still has an attack. I mean, somehow cheesing through a Doomsday, assuming I get to interact ever again, is my way through this game. I think if they had just attacked with Uro and activated Jace for 3 more turns, they would have easily won. But now there's something going on here. Doomsday is upon us. Doomsday is really easy to win with, though, when you have a draw card ready. Get the first piece into your pile. I hope this puts in Cavern on Wizard. Plains. I'm disappointed. What's in Shelldock Isle? That would have been great too. Witherbloom command targeting. They're doing the mill thing and destroying my bombardment. Build themselves. Get Thassa's Oracle, Uro. One card left in their deck. Unearth the Oracle. I could Village Rites into Surgical here, assuming that there's not Force of Will in the hand. Bummer, missed. All right, well, I got a swing there at the very end. The Doomsday, they got to do their thing. That was cool. Well played. Okay, tough crowd. But we were trying to be way too fair for Legacy. Gonna put Meltdown over one of these Null Rods. Should probably be over both the Null Rods, honestly, because we have Deafening Silence that wails on combo, and that's really all that Null Rod does, that Meltdown doesn't. I wanted to find a Wear Tear in this deck somewhere. I'll cut one of the Ruinations. 2 feels like a lot. It's important in some matchups, but having 2 in the deck, I feel like I tricked myself into boarding it in multiple times when I shouldn't. Sedgemoor Witch was pretty good. I guess the next question is Chain of Smog good enough? We can lean farther into the Aristocrats thing, and like, if we just turn the Sedgemoor Witches into Monastery Mentors, then we don't play Chain of Smog anymore and 2 spell slots open up. That does pull the deck back into like all the way Mardu instead of just Rakdos with a kind of heavy white splash. 8 Hook Massacre was dope. You can't convince me to cut that card. I love it. Wonder if there's any reasonable main deck graveyard hate we could play. There's like Lion Sash, but that card is not very good and we don't have ways to look for it. Cling to Dust is pretty embarrassing. It is a repeatable spell. Like, it is a spell that you can play and then later on play again from Hellbent. It's something you don't mind looting away. All right, maybe we're on a Cling to Dust. Cabal Therapy is just like not really a legacy card anymore, even in this deck that is built to abuse it. I'm going to shave a Therapy for a Cling. I still want some number. Like, it's a cool thing to flip over with looting. There's probably some Planeswalkers we could be playing in this deck. Could play Bitter Blossom, but that's a really slow card. Doesn't quite like shred the way that Pyromancer and Sedgemoor Witch do. I wish there was room for some free spells, like even just like Mutagenic Growth or main deck Surgical, just to get the ball rolling a little faster with the token creatures. Because like Cabal Therapy makes a token and then you can sack that token to Flashback Therapy, but Village Rites, it does make a token, but you can't choose that token. Like, you have to sack like the Pyromancer. It doesn't work the same way. If it was like, as this resolves, sack a creature to draw 2 cards, but it's not. It's an additional cost. So having the ball rolling matters. I'm just going to leave this where it is right now. I made the changes to the sideboard that I know are necessary, the Meltdowns and the Wear Tear. As far as the main deck, you could go in a Mentor direction, you could go in a free spell direction, you could stay mid-range, you could add 2 more Chain of Smogs and try to go off. There's just so much you could do here, and I'm not going to be able to develop it all right now in this end of league deck tech. But have a plan for Uro. That's a very real card we need to respect. Maybe Leyland of the Void belongs in this deck and you bring it in, whether you like it or not, against fair Uro decks. That's a thing to consider. But I'm running out of gas on this one. I'm going to leave it where it is. I gave you a bunch of branches you could go down and upgraded the sideboard where it needed to be upgraded. Sedgemoor Witch was cool. Young Pyromancer was cool. We did see the deck kind of do its thing a couple times. And we also saw why decks like this don't get played much a couple times. Welcome to Legacy. It's Uro's world. We're all living in it. Thanks for watching. Dragon Day Dragon, thanks for sponsoring the league. Everyone remember to like, comment, subscribe, check out Patreon, all those things, and I'll see you next time.